Hello my friends and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to talk about the VelocityOne Race of Turtle Beach. Now I have to say that I really was looking forward into reviewing this wheelbase. On paper there were quite a lot of options that I thought, this really is interesting. The wheelbase is a direct drive unit named K-Drive and can deliver up to 7.2 Nm of force. The design itself mimics the shape of a dashboard and is a matte black with an illuminated window on the front where you can see the direct drive unit inside the casing. The front features a beautiful 12 cm display. On the bottom right you have 4 specific console buttons. To both sides there is a USB-C connection available to attach the included extra button box. On the right side there are 2 power buttons and a jack extension for a headset. Hidden in the back are the 2 extra USB-C ports for peripherals and the PSU input. Connection to the PC or Xbox happens with the USB-C to USB-A cable. It's a very neutral design and the bulky entirely black plastic casing makes it a bit less attractive aesthetically. It does angle up quite a bit too though. Attaching the wheelbase happens via 3 bolts or via the hidden desktop clamp. The system has a metal quick release system on which you can attach the steering wheel. The steering wheel features 6 normal buttons and 2 trigger buttons at the top. Down left is a rotary encoder with D-pad joystick in the center. The right features 2 more buttons inside a rotary encoder. With these you can also operate the display. The steering wheel measures 30 cm in width and 26 cm in height and is D-shaped. The center spokes have a nice faux carbon finishing and the upholstery is made out of a perforated and smooth leather finishing with some stitches on them. On the back you can find 2 more hidden buttons, a set of magnetic shifters, a USB-C port and a dual clutch system. While design is always subjective, I like the design of the steering wheel, especially with the backlighting. The extra button box features a capped switch, a power button and a kill switch for the K-Drive. There are 3 rotary buttons, 4 normal buttons and my favorite 4 3-position switches. The finishing also has a carbon fiber look and the attachment happens via a small iron plate to the left or right of the wheelbase. Connection is with USB-C towards the wheelbase. The pedals are made out of plastic housing with aluminium pedals and heel plate. Both throttle and clutch can be adjusted for stiffness via the springs. The brake features a 50 kg load cell but has no further mechanical adjustability for stiffness or travel. Connection happens via USB-C to USB-A to the wheelbase or directly to the PC. The pedal faces can be moved in slightly in the 4 directions and the brake pedal can be moved outwards a couple of centimeters. What I specifically liked as innovation on the pedals is that the clutch pedal can be easily clapped down. The build quality of the wheelbase is okay. Yes, it is plastic, but that is not necessarily a bad thing. The steering wheel feels a bit cheap to the touch to the point where I have doubts of the material they used and the stitching, it is not really tidy. The buttons do make a satisfying click when pressed, as do the magnetic shifters. The extra clutch pedals could have used a bit more stiffness. The buttons on the control unit feel a bit less clicky than those of the wheelbase but can still be considered okay for quality. It does look cheap though. When it comes to the pedals, they are okay, but I would have rather seen a metal skeleton instead of the cheap black plastic around it. The base itself doesn't feel as sturdy as other pedal bases out there. The software that they used, they had a bit of time to brush it up a bit, but I still feel that it needs needs some upgrading, especially when I look at the settings that you can put in for the wheelbase itself, for the force feedback. It is way too little. I think there's only 3 options or something that you can put in, and that is just not sufficient. Some other things are, yeah, some minor things like changing the color of the LED lights. I didn't succeed in doing this, and yeah, the software, it just feels a bit not user-friendly enough and not expanded enough. Compatibility is PC and Xbox. So for Xbox, there are quite a lot of games that are supported, so the K-Drive is supported by a lot of games. However, the game telemetry is not in a lot of games, so that's a bit of a downside of it. If you look at the other hand, PC, so there are already quite a lot of games in the software of Turtle Beach itself that support the telemetry, the game telemetry, to display the data on the large display. And if it is not supported by their software, then you can always go to Sim Hub and have the telemetry, the dashboard from there. So the force feedback on a straight line, I think is pretty decent here. It's the same like I feel in other wheelbases. I feel an intensifying towards the end. Power is pretty decent. Then the curbs, yeah, you can hit the curbs and you can feel them. Here still it is okay. You can see the detail. And then here we come in my favorite corner and it's all gone. Gone is the force feedback. So it doesn't have any lateral force. It cannot show any lateral force. Here you have some detail. It's less pronounced than with other bases of about the same caliber as this one when it comes to force feedback. But it's still there, so that's normal. But here also, no lateral force feedback. And then we come on the straight again, and there we have again the details in the road. So what I can feel from the force feedback, it's not bad. It's not bad. But I should feel a lot more in the corners, especially. The steering wheel itself is not bad. I really like the 2 buttons here on top. They are very nice to set the some values. They are like trigger buttons. So the buttons, okay. They also have a very okay click to them when you click them, so not bad. Lights are of course fantastic. The display also very nice. Yeah, it's now not showing any game telemetry because there's a problem if I want to use it in combination with my microphone. I had an issue, so I needed to stop it. But yeah, I do think that the upholstery of the steering wheel is not that great. It's supposed to be, or it looks like leather, but it feels more like, I would say, plastic wrapped around cardboards. It's very light also. It's sturdy, that's no problem, but it feels very plasticky when you drive without gloves, of course. The pedals, I think the travel of the accelerator is too much, and I can't really. You can adapt it by making the screw a bit more tight, but still I have quite a lot of travel on my accelerator. And the brake, the brake, I would say it does its job, but I would have loved for it to be a bit more modifiable than it is. A bit more stiffer, a bit more mushy even. but there's really nothing really that can be done to make this brake feel better. That's a bit of a lesser side. In all, I would say that VelocityOne is not really the steering wheel that you would buy for sim racing. So fortunately for the VelocityOne, sim racing is not the only branch in simulated driving which is important. Other games like ETS, ATS and this one, BeamNG, are also loved a lot by people, and it is there that the VelocityOne, it shines a bit more. Because of the extra buttons that you have from the button box, well, since you have to map a lot of buttons in BeamNG and other games, it is really handy to have it. Also, the display that comes with the VelocityOne, it's pretty nice that it shows the speed and the RPM on it, because, well, you don't have the, if you align it correctly with your screen, you don't see it on your screen that good. Very nice that you can see it on the display. What I also appreciate is, yeah, the lighting here. For a simulator like this, I like it that there is a lot of light. I like it in my real car also, that there is some that there are some lights. So yeah, I think it's a very nice setup to drive in a simulator. When we talk about force feedback, it is less important here in BeamNG, the force feedback detail that you get, than it is with sim racing. There is still detail in the roads here, especially, yeah, the bumpy parts. I can feel it also, so there is no issue there. And the rest of the force feedback, like the wheel pulling itself back right and giving you some force when you turn the wheel, of course, is there also. With the force that it has, I think it is 7.2 Nm. I think it is enough to drive in a simulator like this without any issue, or that you have the that you think you are missing something. So yeah, I think for here a much better match between this steering wheel set and the game type than with sim racing. Only thing that, yeah, I do find a bit less, and you see it here when I turn, it is that it is the D-shaped steering wheel, which is not ideal when you drive with a truck or with a normal car. I would have liked for it to be round. Now, it doesn't bother me that much as I thought it would bother me, but still, yeah, it's not that great to drive with. Driving here also without the gloves on the wheel, it still feels cheap in my hands. I do think it feels cheap, but it is less of a worry. Also handy here, the buttons on top, to, if you don't have a setup with a camera to track your head, this one is very handy with the buttons here. So yeah, very nice wheel to drive in BeamNG. So it does have a lot of features. You have this beautiful big display in it. You have the control box to the side. You have the LED lights in your steering wheel. You have the extra clutch on the steering wheel. There is also the jack for sound output, the collapsible clutch pedal, and the wings on the wheelbase that open up and reveal a hidden compartment. My favorite feature probably is that it all connects via just one USB to your PC, so an anti-wire clutter function is also included. So yeah, it is a very complete package. It also comes with cable binders and attachment material. So yeah, a very complete package. They really did their best. I think it is the most complete package as a whole that you can buy at this moment at the market. For ecosystem, very small. Well, there is only the H pattern shifter that they have released not that long ago, but I would have really loved to see some more in the ecosystem. Especially a round steering wheel, completely round steering wheel, would have been much appreciated. The price for the VelocityOne Race is €699. if I go to the web shop of Turtle Beach for Europe, and 649 USD for the American web shop. You can have it lower price also, so they work with dealers also, especially Amazon. I have seen it, and there you can have it for around 600 euro. For issues, I wouldn't say that there are any structural issues. I do see that there are some issues popping up. I myself had an issue with the display went black all of a sudden when I did an update of the firmware. It didn't update correctly, so I needed to put it in safe mode and reflash it a couple of times to get it working. So it worked again after a while, but it's an issue that I had that I need to mention. Since the VelocityOne race has been released in February 2024, there have been a lot of reviews, and the opinion for a lot of people has been nice try, but. And that certainly is valid when you only consider the sim racing aspect. The core of sim racing is the ability to feel details, to feel what your car is telling you at all times, and that is where the VelocityOne race falls short. I was not impressed with the force feedback and can think of many other and better alternatives. I mainly blame the software and firmware for this and would urge Turtle Beach to look into this. The VelocityOne is not a wheelbase I can recommend for sim racing. However, I found the VelocityOne fun, powerful enough and adequate when driving it in BeamNG, and certainly could appreciate the display and extra button box for that type of game. For a price like that, having all these features included is also quite impressive. So for people that like easy to set up systems with plenty of features at a moderate price, I might even recommend it. Perhaps if Turtle Beach hadn't marketed it as a racing wheel and included a round wheel and some stock instead of the dual clutch, it could even have become a bestseller. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had something from this video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.